this, like there has these comfort control events, right? Or these comfort events. And you can see that in your Vera app, that it's adjusting to your conductivity each and every time this is needed. And so it is providing the current, but also assessing the conductivity hundreds of times throughout each session.
Great. Thank you, Casey. We have another one that came in. Why are there different usage movements for ageLOC WellSpaiO? We walked through those 3 different ways to use the device. Casey, can you tell us why it's important to use the device in different ways?
Yeah, so each of the 3 R's are for different experiences. So if I'm looking to restore and just get overall well-being, I'm going to want to use long motions, inward and upward. And actually, inward and upward is the key to all of the routines. But again, with restore, that is the primary usage that we're going to do. But if I'm looking to revitalize my appearance because I suffer from some visible cellulite, right, I'm going to want to not only do those upward, inward strokes, but I'm also going to want to massage a bit to help break that up and help smooth the appearance of the skin. And obviously, if I'm looking to rejuvenate or to relax after a workout or before a workout, again, I'm going to focus on smaller areas of just where those muscle groups are. And so each of the different routines are really focused on the experience of each individual.
Great. Thanks for that thorough explanation, Casey. Our next question says, can WellSpaiO help with lymphatic circulation? Casey?
That is a great and interesting question, but I think it's very important to remember that ageLOC WellSpaiO is not a medical device. And so we have to be very, very clear about what we claim it does and what we claim that it doesn't do. So it can help with the movement of fluids, but we should not make any direct claims in regards to lymphatic movement.
Perfect. Thank you. Casey, how many people were roughly included in these clinical studies that you walked through?
So the standard is to recruit enough individuals so at least 30 will finish. So usually that means between 35 and 32 or 33, depending. Obviously, a 12-week study, we would expect, or there's more potential for people to drop out, versus a 2-week study. There's less chance of that. And again, it also has to do with how time consuming it is. So 35 is about the max that we would include in a personal care study, unless we're looking for some other, some more specific differences. So that I don't remember off the top of my head for each of them, but it's somewhere within that 30 to 35 range.
Thanks, Casey.
For each group, sorry. So the I take it back. So the Revitalize study had different groups, right? And we recruit so that 30 would finish in each group. So just to make sure that I'm clear on that too.
Perfect, thank you. Casey, we've also received a few questions about how frequently WellSpaiO can be used and on different body parts as well. Can you tell us the guidelines for WellSpaiO usage?
So I think that's part of the beauty of WellSpaiO, and Trina kind of talked about it, and I've already kind of talked about it a little bit too, that you can personalize this to what kind of type of time and effort that you want to put in. So some individuals might be like, you know what, my arms are the area that I want to focus on, and I want to focus on that for Revitalize, versus someone else might say, you know what, no, I just want it for the rejuvenation or the relaxing benefits. And so all of that's going to impact how often a person uses it, right? And even as we showed with Revitalize, we know that when people use it for different times and frequencies, that can impact the results. So maybe if, like Trina said, she's getting ready for a beach vacation, right? She might go for the high group or even every day for 5 minutes for each area for a month to prepare for that. And then after she gets on vacation, she might go down to a lesser. What's really important, though, the really big guide rail is that we would not recommend you use it for more than 5 minutes on any one area. So let me explain that. If I'm going to use it On my thigh for Revitalize, I use it up to 5 minutes on my thigh, right? But if I've said, you know what, I want to do Restore, I decide to do a 2-minute Restore on one of my thighs, but then I work out and later in the day and I want to target my hamstrings, right? Then I can do another 1 minute there because that's just a total of 3 minutes. So the guide is no more than 5 minutes in any body area up to daily.
Perfect, thank you. While we're talking about body areas, Casey, can you tell us some of the areas we should not use WellSpaiO on? There's some questions about face, back. Can you talk to us about those areas?
Yes. So this is not a facial product, and I really don't think it would be very comfortable on our face. We have other products that are specifically developed for your face, and we'd really recommend those at this point in time. We also would not recommend that it be used across the chest. It shouldn't be used obviously in the groin area because, that's a little bit, And then also we want to make sure that individuals aren't using it on their neck or on their back. Really the concern there right now is whether or not it inserts any of the muscle areas that potentially insert into the spine. So that'd be like your trapezius, your latissimus dorsi, and your erectus spinae. So kind of keep it away from the midline, but you can do your shoulders, you can do your triceps, you can do your biceps, you can do your forearm, hamstrings, quadriceps, all of those are good to go.
Awesome. Thank you, Casey. This next question is about the device battery. I can go ahead and answer this one. The WellSpaiO battery is a lithium-ion battery, which means it's rechargeable. So we walked through those slides, right, where you can recharge the WellSpaiO device. And there was one other question asking, at what level of charge does the WellSpaiO come in? And the WellSpaiO will arrive with at least 50% battery. So you can run sessions right out of the box as well. No need to charge it before you go ahead and start using your WellSpaiO. Okay, Casey, this next question's for you. Is the WellSpaiO waterproof? Can we use it in the shower with body polish and then do the other routines as required?
So the WellSpaiO has some water resistancy associated with it, but it's not to be used in the shower. And we really wouldn't suggest using it with the body polish because the body polish wasn't developed to conduct the current. And also the body polish has physical exfoliants in it. It has the cellulose and it's kind of grainy. And so you wouldn't want to push that grainy cellulose over the skin because it's not really it's not a very good user experience. So it shouldn't be used in the shower. It can be used in humid environments like a bathroom in Singapore, but you would not use it with the body polish. You'd want to use it specifically with those topicals that it was developed to be used with, which would be the ageLOC Body Serum and the ageLOC Body Activating Gel.
Perfect. Thanks, Casey. Next question is, how do you clean WellSpaiO? I can go ahead and answer this. Per what Casey said, this is water resistant, but we don't encourage you putting it in a stream of water. And so the user manual instructs that you clean WellSpaiO with a damp cloth to wipe off any of the serum that is on the metallic nodes. All right, Casey, another question for you. Will there be a study on TR90 with WellSpaiO in the near future?
It's really hard to say where our research is going to take us. At this point in time, there isn't anything specifically in the works, but I mean, we constantly are looking at the landscape within our markets and what the needs are, and we will adjust to those needs.
Great, thank you. Trina, next question for you. Someone said, we only can see the routine library after we pair WellSpaiO. Is there any way we can make it available for us to view before we pair so we can show it to our customers?
That's a great question. I love that question. I think that's something that we can definitely look at. One thing we do want to do is encourage people to connect their device. And so by having that routine library available after you've paired, it is there for that use. I don't see why in the future we couldn't do maybe a quick guide, especially if people are looking for more guidance around those routines. But again, you're going to get the best, most full experience by pairing your device to your mobile app.
Great. Thanks, Trina. One other question for you, Trina, while we have you, which I think is a really interesting question and good to explain. Someone asked, why did the image on Vera show motion of WellSpaiO on the thigh while you were demoing it on your arm?
Oh, that is a great question. So the answer to that is that the device doesn't necessarily know where on my body I'm using it. So there is all that other information that we got. I mean, you saw the data that was flowing back and forth. But unfortunately, unless we provided some prompts to the user to guide it, we don't have enough information to say, oh, somebody's using it on your arm versus your thigh. And so that is a limitation of the current technology. In general, though, I mean, most people will probably follow the routines, especially if they're trying to see those benefits on those specific body parts and body areas.
Thanks, Trina. We'll keep going on the app while we have you. Someone asks, if there are two of us using the device, can we save more than one IO score goal? If we load mine, so if I load mine and then choose a one-off session from the menu, how does my partner choose which one they want?
That's a really great question. So right now, the device, when you pair it, it's actually connected to your account, your new Skin account. And so there is just one IO score goal per account. Now, if you created a separate account, then that would be fine, and you would be able to have both of those separately. Being able to create almost like a profile, though, especially for people that do share an account, because we know that happens, even if you have multiple devices, it's something that we've explored, and I think we're going to continue exploring it as well. And that's great feedback. I mean, just the fact that somebody asked the question means that there's a need for it. So that's definitely something that we'll look into as a future enhancement for WellSpaiO and Vera.
Thanks, Trina. One last app question before we jump back to Casey. The question is, do you always need to use Vera for each session?
Great question also. And the answer is no. So as you saw with the usage tracker, we're still going to show you how you've used it. There, of course, is an advantage to using your device with Vera, in that you do get that guided experience. You get those tutorials. You also get that live feedback, that live data that's coming through and being passed between the device and the app. But again, if maybe you're a little bit busier, or it's just not fitting into your day to have your app open and have the device and app connected, you can still use it. And then the next time that you connect to Vera, those logs that are stored in the device, they're going to go up into the cloud and then come down and be shown in your usage tracker. So you can still see when you've used the device and for how long.
Awesome. Thanks, Trina. Casey, back to you. We have a question that says, I heard that WellSpaiO works based on using AI, and that its strongness, I'm assuming the current intensity, is based on the skin's touch, and if you press strongly into different body parts. Can you explain this and confirm this?
So that's an interesting question. So the device is looking at the conductivity of the skin and adjusting the current based off that conductivity. Whether or not that uses AI versus not AI, again, that's a little bit off topic. But again, it is personalizing it to you. How hard you push is not going to impact that at all. But we do recommend just smoothly gliding it over the skin, because that's all that's needed to get benefits. And pushing too hard could cause discomfort. And that's something that we're really trying to avoid with this system.
Thanks, Casey. We have another question that says, can I use the activating gel and the serum in one treatment? Casey, what are your thoughts?
I'm not sure why you would do that. I will say this. So, for all intents and purposes, the serum is probably a more concentrated product. So if you're trying to decide, is this a serum usage or is this an activating gel usage, the serum would probably be the better product to use. But let's say that you are you've decided that you're going to do a revitalize routine with the serum, and then you're going to follow that up with a restore routine. If you wanted to then layer those on top of each other, then that would be fine. So it kind of depends on what your goals are, but there's no reason to combine them into one usage.
Awesome, thank you. Last question for you, Casey, and then we'll jump back to some app questions. Someone asked, and this is in tandem with the app, but for the Empower, the blue and white rings, is it better to have more white than blue in the rings? Casey, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, it's all about, they're kind of correlated together. So the blue and the white rings are looking at the current intensity and the voltage, and that they vary within each other based off the conductivity or the resistance within the skin. So I don't think you're not looking to have more of one or the other, as long as you're having an ample amount of topical. So and the second thing is, if you're moving it a little bit too quickly, you might see more variation in those too. So I think the goal is actually to kind of try to maintain the current as much as possible, and that can be done through making sure that you've got the right amount of product and that you're using the nice smooth strokes, and it's not getting too hectic for the current and its ability to adjust to that.
Awesome, thank you. I'm really excited for that feature. It'll be a great way to demonstrate the adaptive microcurrent technology.
I totally agree.
Trina, a question for you. Do you have in the routine library, looks like there's a lot of female models. Perhaps it's good to show male videos if the user is a male. Do you have any thoughts on that customization?
Yeah, that's actually something that we've discussed quite a bit. I don't know that we necessarily landed on anything. Some of it's privacy related, if people want to let us know if they're male or female. So there's some of that in there, but we have tried to make the imagery more even, if you will. I didn't show it in the demo, but on those, on the relax and rejuvenate routines, we do have a male model that's in the video, and the restore routines as well, that also uses a male model. And so we are trying to be a little bit more gender inclusive for both men and women. With Revitalize, since I think it was Casey that mentioned it earlier, typically women have more issues with the dimpling, with the cellulite. We are using a female model there, but we are trying to make some adjustments to be a little bit more even in that arena.
Awesome, thanks, Trina. Casey, another question for you. So with the movements that you talked to us about, what if you keep the device still? Does it still move fluid, or do I need to manually move my device?
We haven't looked at that specifically, but there's two different mechanisms of action, right? One is the manual massage, but the microcurrent has some of that ability also. But really, you want to use both of them together to get the most out of your device and your system. So you'll probably get a little bit, but you're going to get a lot more if you use the microcurrent and the massage in tandem.
Awesome. Thanks, Casey. Another question for you. Can I use WellSpaiO to rejuvenate my body after my workout and replace that instead of stretching? I usually don't have much time to stretch after a workout.
I don't know how to answer that, because when you look at the research for stretching, it's a little bit varied. And that's kind of what's interesting is when you look at massage in general, the results are like the research and the physiological benefits of that are varied, and there's no really hardcore benefit. So when you're asking about what I'm not entirely sure what benefit you're looking for afterwards. If you're looking to, again, if you've done something really strenuous and so that your muscles are feeling tight and you're trying to release that tension, but you don't have time to do that stretching, then you could use a little bit of WellSpa in place of that. But if you're looking for like decreasing the onset of delayed onset muscle soreness, we really haven't delved into that too deeply, and there's mixed reviews on any type of massage in that realm. So it can definitely have some benefits, and based off our study, we've identified that people start to feel that it helps to reduce that tension, that it can help increase mobility, but we haven't looked at swapping it out per se.
Awesome, thank you. We have another question that says, after the treatment, should we rinse off the topicals with water? I can answer that one. These topicals were formulated to be leave-on. So this is also an enhancement that we've made with the WellSpaiO system. And so once you've finished your treatment or your routine, you can go ahead and massage in the extra serum or activating gel into your skin to make sure you're getting those prolonged benefits from the amazing, powerful topicals that our R&D team has worked hard on. Casey, I have one last question for you before we end our Q&A session. It seems like we still have a few follow-up questions about the 5 minutes per area using WellSpaiO. We have some questions about, can I use it on different sections of my abdomen for 5 minutes each, and likewise on arm, if I do upper arm, lower arm. Can you explain that a little bit more in terms of how often we can use it?
Yeah. So again, when we talk about different areas, we're really thinking like more targeted areas. So again, if I'm going to use it I can use it on my entire thigh for 5 minutes, or if I desire, I can use it on just my upper thigh, the backside of my upper thigh, kind of under my buttocks for cellulite. So I think it's just to make sure that we're tempered in it and that individuals aren't just like using it forever. So again, it's just think of 5 minutes per area. And again, those area could be your entire thigh, or it could be a more targeted area of your thigh. But if you do that targeted area of your thigh, then that doesn't mean that you can do your entire thigh for another 5 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Trina and Casey, for helping to answer these questions. That's all the time we have for today for Q&A. We apologize to those we weren't able to answer your questions for. The local teams will contact you separately, so please make sure you include your name, country of residence, and email address so we can make sure to continue and answer those questions for you.